All right, hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of Team Talk. So now that episode 0 is out of the way and we got all of our awkward hellos done, we're going to start digging in now. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some news with Paizo. I'm sure some of you have already heard about the artwork controversy. And beyond that, we're going to ask some DM questions and get some tips from Nathan here. And going forward from there, we really want to talk to you about our Patreon because that has all changed. We've added quite a few services, and we've restructured all of our tiers. So we're going to be covering all that stuff as well. So plus, we're going to be talking about whatever else comes up. So I guess to start with, let's break down the Patreon tiers. I kind of want to dig into this right away. This is pretty important, and we're hoping that the community really enjoys some of the services we're going to offer. So now there's 4 new tiers, or there's 4 tiers total now. So Drew, do you want to kind of break down some of what you're getting in tier 1?
Yes. So in tier 1, you guys will get access to our Discord server to talk about whatever. You'll still get all the Google Sheets for the teamwork builds that I do on this channel, and that's pretty much what you get in tier 1.
Cool. So tier 2, you get everything in tier 1, but what else are we getting with tier 2?
Yes, in tier 2, you're getting an extra Google Sheet for a teamwork build every month. And you're also going to be able to watch us live stream these Team Talk episodes. Because those are cut down to about 20 minutes.
Right. So you'll get to see all of the fluff and the filler that gets edited out. So that'll be fun. So when we record every Saturday morning, so you'll be able to tune in on our Discord channel for that. All right. So what about tier 3, Drew?
Tier 3, you're getting everything from tier 1 and 2. You're getting access to spectate some of our games that we run on the Patreon for tier 4 members. You're also going to be able to ask questions of Nathan here, GM questions.
We're going to be offering specific build requests too for tier 3, right?
You will be able to tell me what kind of classes and races you want me to use for a teamwork build, and I will see what I can do.
Tier 4 is the one that we're the most excited about at the moment, just because it allows us an opportunity to get more involved in the community for team player gaming. Do you want to go over what that offers?
Thing from tier 3 and back, and you also get the chance to play with Nathan here GMing as one of our modules. Jeff might do it, but right now it's just Nathan.
So yeah, that's basically it. Those are our Patreon tiers. There's 4 levels. So check out the link in the description below. Go to our Patreon, check it out. If you want to be part of our bi-weekly campaigns that are going to be DM'd by Nathan here, $25 a month is where we're setting that price. Well worth it, I think. And you get to be part of a game where you have an experienced game master and you can just jump in and start playing. And that was kind of the whole point. Just another means to bring attention to the community itself and to keep growing what we already have. So beyond that, now that we're done with the Patreon stuff, we got some new books to talk about. And I unfortunately have not gotten too much of a chance to look through them. But I was thinking maybe you guys can jump in and kind of explain a little bit about what they are and what they're providing.
So yes, they are coming out with a couple new books next year. Well, actually, technically 6 books, but 4 of them are an adventure path. Yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of different lore from in one of the books. There's going to be a whole slew of lore from the Qianjia region, and then the other book is character options. There's going to be 6 brand new ancestries We only know of 3 of them right now. The Samsara, the Wei Yangs, and the Tanuki. The Tanuki is the last one. So yeah, there's been speculation that there's going to be like you know the ninja and the samurai in the character options book too, but we don't know a whole lot yet when it comes to those books.
So I have a question about that. Do you think that if they're doing samurai and ninja, that they would do it as an ancestry or do it as some kind of subclass?
I really don't think they're going to do it as subclasses or ancestries. But I mean, let's be honest, they're going to do it as archetypes, more than likely.
I think that makes more sense mechanically because if you look at the Viking archetype, you really couldn't do that as, say, part of a fighter or something else. I think it makes more sense that any class can kind of be molded to it, so you get more customization out of your character. But
Yeah,
I tend to think the same too.
I think so. So the treasure vault, you two have gotten a chance to look through that quite a bit. I know Nathan read the whole thing already. Can we talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons? Because from my understanding, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people like some of it, some people dislike some of it. Crafting is changing again, but it's optional, right?
People are talking about is the new crafting rules, and yes, they are an optional rule, but honestly, I think Nathan understands how that works better than I do. But I feel like they didn't really need to change the crafting rules very much. Um, from my understanding, they did it from a standpoint of people want quicker crafting rules, which honestly I think is a little bit weird. I mean, for me, it feels like crafting should be something that takes a long time. But I'm going to let Nathan talk a little bit more about that.
So my understanding of it within the first 2 paragraphs is that these are optional rules. So none of it is required and none of it, may be needed. I think from a game design standpoint, I understand why they may want to try to come up with this. And that's only because if you look in the rest of the book, they come up with a whole list of different types of items. So there's assistive items, there's more spell hearts, grimoires, tattoos. There's a lot of there's much more temporary items. So if there was a way to speed up that production, I can see where this rule could help. Slowing things down in complex crafting, I think, allows you to be more focused. I think this best benefits people who are running modules or, adventure paths where you're in a set timeline. In most modules or adventure paths, you don't have a lot of free time to actually spend 4 days to create an item or a batch of something. So this could help, but I do think that the added complexity increases the DC way too much where it's not really going to be a benefit. So even if you attempt this to shorten it and you're really good at crafting, you still might fail anyway.
Right. And does that even make sense? Some people are going to like it. I personally, I kind of stand with Drew on when he said crafting didn't need to change. I think people have gotten used to it as being a pretty accurate, real world example of how things are actually made and being able to incorporate that into the game. So I'm glad they made it optional. But there are going to be people out there that they want to get more complex with it, and now they can. So, yeah, crafting was one thing. What was something else that the Treasure Vault also brought?
Oh, well, there was a lot of things that I really liked that were in there. There's just more of every items. I think the downside to having more alchemy, like more bombs, elixirs, poisons, tools, ammunition, it's more reading, it's more consideration, it's more research, and I think the alchemist is already a research heavy class, so it might add to some of the difficulty of playing that class.
Yeah, it might.
Was what I really like about this is that they added alchemical food items. I know of at least like people that wanted to play a cook, and now that's a lot more. That's definitely something you can do now.
Definitely, and I think it also kind of really hits home the point that all of these ways of creating items are referred to as recipes. So now there's actually a recipe to cook up.
Cooperative waffles.
So awesome. And what is even better about that is that the fact that they have they have waffle irons that you can buy, so you could even make this like mithril waffle iron and make the cooperative waffles.
I love that. I hope they never take that out of the game. I really, to be honest with you, I'm waiting for a book to be released, an official Paizo Pathfinder 2e book with a picture of a waffle on the front of it. I think I would feel very accomplished if I got to be able to read that book in my life.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about is the new artifact archetypes. That is a huge deal. There's a couple items in Treasure Vault that actually have archetypes attached to them, which is fantastic.
Yeah, how does that all work? I'm not even sure.
Basically, what it is there's these archetypes that you can only take if you have one of these two items, and the other one has to do with spellcasting. But I'm more interested in the werebear one.
Very cool.
Sweet.
I liked the assistive items that they came up with. So now that there's more items for your animal companions.
So how do the assistive items affect animal companions?
Items like armor, or in case somehow your animal companion is missing a leg or is wounded in a way, it basically kind of gives like a wheelchair for your animal companion. Or, and again, these don't specifically have to be applied to an animal companion. They can be applied to anybody. It can be applied to your players or NPCs. And going along with that, having prosthetics, which I also find really cool, because this also, when you think of it in a different perspective for like the android and automaton ancestries, that now instead of really replacing an arm, you're doing a modification. So seeking these items out. I like that they expanded on grimoires and spell hearts. There wasn't enough of those for sure. For those of you who don't know, grimoires are basically spell books 2.0. They really kind of allow you as a prepared spellcaster or just a spellcaster to put your spells in, but they may give you an added effect. And I think this is really cool specifically for wizards, because if you don't have a spell book as a wizard, you really have nothing. You can't cast your spells, you can't do anything. So giving a little bit more to those classes.
That's going to enhance gameplay quite a bit for magic users, for sure.
Cool tats, magical instruments, new accessory runes, additional magic items, but the fact that they organized it into new clothing, gloves, boots, feet items, backpacks, it really makes it nice. Plus, by coming up with these, if there's something you don't necessarily like, I'm the kind of person that will take that as a template and find a way to alter it and to customize it to something that is better suited for what I want.
Right. So, okay. So we've had magic tattoos already. So how's that changed now? What's different about tattoos specifically? Because I've actually been meaning to do a character build based on a tattoo artist, and I'm curious on how that's different now going forward.
As far as my understanding is, tattoos kind of function as a spell per day, or you draw the tattoo on you, and you get to cast that spell once per day, or depending on what your level is, what you can cast.
Should we talk about the semi new controversy? I mean, people have already been talking about this for a couple weeks now, but Paizo versus AI artwork, kind of a thing, and I've heard both sides of it. And I do have an opinion, and honestly, it's kind of weird because I'm one of those people who, being somebody who's I'm an avid technologist. AI is the future. I recognize that, but when it comes to art, how do you regulate that? And I think Paizo's response is a little bit better than people give them credit for, because really what they're trying to do is help protect intellectual property. So I think that is a detail it's being overlooked a lot by the people who are, naysaying against, Paizo's stance on it, because they took a hard stand against AI artwork.
Yeah, I feel like the problem with AI artwork is that a lot of times it takes stuff from artists and just kind of uses it without permission, which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, intellectual property that's probably some of the most valuable property that, this planet has. We create things, and if you got an AI bot trolling the internet looking for pictures that other people have already drawn, and they're just taking little pieces from it. Yeah. I mean,
or a lot of the pieces.
Or a lot. Yeah. Wasn't there a situation where there was, you can even see the artist's signature in the AI artwork, like the original artist. And that's just not, like, the person who submitted that photo should not have submitted that photo, yeah.
Do you think it's a matter of time before AI gets sensitive enough to understand when it's borrowed too much?
Yeah, just not yet. AI is tricky because it's only as
it's one of those things where it's like we'll just have to.
Yeah, and we will. AI is less advanced than I think a lot of people know. So it's a work in progress, but right now AI is only as smart as the people who program it. So yeah, it's obviously going to get better in the future, but I don't know that it's ever going to have a chance to replace an actual artist for the type of artwork that Paizo's looking for in their stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. I just don't think it's on a roadmap yet. But for now, I agree with Paizo, and they're standing up for the artists, the people who actually spend the time to sit down and spend hours and hours creating art. And it's a tough field. There are a lot of people who make art that nobody ever sees it. So why should AI be able to just jump in there, learn what we want to see, throw some, bunch of hodgepodge together, and then, call it actual art? Okay, yeah. Now we're at the part of the episode where we're going to ask Nathan some questions about game mastery, and I'm very excited to hear what he has to say about some of these questions. So, I guess to start, Nathan, what was your first GMing experience like?
Horrible. I started playing this a long time ago, and the same advice that I give for anybody starting DMing is making sure that you understand how to make characters of every class, how each class mechanically functions. I thought I knew that pretty well because I had made so many characters at that point, but I think it had more to do with being emotionally intelligent to how my players wanted to play. It was really difficult because my first GMing experience was with him when we were in high school. And it was really hard to get people to understand the game. I definitely think it's much easier now explaining how to start, but trying to get new players to play when you're a new GM is like trying to herd cats.
That makes a lot of sense. And yes, I do remember that. And at the time, I knew absolutely nothing about Dungeons and Dragons. That's where my journey began. My long, long journey. All right. Next question. This one, I think, this question is a little bit more geared towards the community, being that GMs are in high demand right now, and there's just not a lot of them. So how much time should a beginner game master spend preparing their party for a module or a campaign?
Starting off, I think it depends on the module, but I think you need to do your due diligence and read the module at least once through. You don't need to memorize everything, but you should at least understand the basic concepts of what the module is trying to achieve. I think the biggest challenge for first-time DMs is trying to plan for the unexpected. And because every group of people, every player is probably they're always going to go sideways in a way you'd never expected, and probably in a way that the game designers of the module didn't conceive of. So you have to be able to improvise on your feet and find a way to kind of bring it back in. So if you didn't do that initial read, you're not necessarily going to understand the concept of how to bring players back in. And it's very delicate because players don't want to feel railroaded and forced into a particular way of playing the game.
Right.
So as far as the amount of time, I would say at least give yourself a good solid weekend. If again, it sounds like a lot of time, but realistically, all you're really doing is reading things, making sure you understand the NPCs, making sure, depending on what level it is, understanding how those magic items function. It's a lot of background research work, making sure that when somebody asks a question of, well, can I do this? Well, you probably could, but you have to understand how the module wants things to kind of go, but you're looking for a way to make it natural or seamless. So doing at least one read through, understanding how things function. If it were me, like we were using the beginner box set, I would probably spend an entire weekend making sure I understood everything. So when you go to start, if you don't have pre-made characters and people are making their new characters, then now you understand how things are going to be laid out. Now you can have a session 0, which is basically helping players make their characters. You know how the campaign will go, and you can kind of guide and answer some of those questions where you best think that they could make their party.
Yeah. And that actually leads into the next question pretty perfectly. But so for some of the people who don't know, what is session 0 and why do we need it?
Session zeros are extremely important because they allow the players and the GM or DM meet for the first time and discuss what it is that they want to make. A lot of people think that this game is very individualistic, that I make the character that I want. I think the vision for this community that we have and for this channel and in general, one of the best ways to play is to be cooperative. And since it's already is cooperative storytelling, not making 5 wizards, or not making, nobody wants to play a cleric because they don't want to be stuck in the role of healer, or everybody wants to be a damage dealer. Other people may not want to be supportive rather than taking attack actions. And I think that's kind of the whole vision and purpose of this channel, is to show that you can play what you want and be cooperative and be supportive all at the same time.
Right. And also, don't forget that archetypes are there for a reason. So if you don't want to be a healer, well, take an archetype that allows you to kind of expand your horizons a little bit and play your character a little different. Yeah, that's pretty good. So in your opinion, Nathan, then what's the hardest part of being a game master?
Herding cats. Keeping players' attention. I think that has more to do with the emotional intelligence of the players and how focused they want to be. I think by now, at least with my experience, planning for a game session doesn't take that much time now. But I think the most difficult is making sure combat runs as smoothly as possible and trying to find ways, especially for new players, trying to get people engaged to role play their character rather than just seeing somebody on their phone or on a computer read Archives of Nethys and say, okay, I know this. That's metagaming. You don't know this. Part of the fun of the game is to learn these things through your character with the other players and asking questions. I think the second most difficult thing is trying to engage your players to ask you questions about your world or the world so that they can learn more.
Right on. Okay, so we have to do our outro, I think, right?
Okay.
I'll just drop it in there and we'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, I'll have the editor take it out. But all right, guys. So that is our episode 1 of Team Talk. So thanks for hanging out with us, and leave a comment. And we're going to be giving away Pathfinder 2e Beginner Box. So go ahead and leave a comment. We're going to figure out which one of you commenters are going to get this wonderful little extra treat. And that's basically it. That's our episode today. So thank you for watching.